Hey there, Racer Rob down here at Integrity Auto Care, and today's patient is a 1988 Nissan 300ZX that it's 27 years old, still in great shape. Customer's complaint is rough idle, especially after a hot start, and check engine light occasionally. And this video is, I want to walk you through it because this is a pretty cool one that shows some of the old school diagnostics. So here we go. So first things first is go over to my little check sheet here, and again, the case study of the 88 Nissan Z car needs some TLC. The first thing you want to do is talk to the customer and verify the complaint. Get as much information as you can: when, where, how, cold, warm, anything else that you can tell me about the car. You really need to listen to the customer because they know the car a heck of a lot better than you. And then I want to go into self-diagnostics. Step number one, level diagnostics. Level 1 diagnostics. So, hey, I'm no actor here. This is Racer Rob, the car doctor, walking you through what I do. So let's kind of talk about level 1. So this is where we basically check out the basics and verify it. So I took it for a test drive, and sure enough, it started up real rough idle, loped up and down, sounded like it was going to stall, and after 2 or 3 minutes it cleared up. Now here's a key note: I checked the start into the car cold, and there was no fast idle when it was cold. So that's a key right there that I want you to pay attention to. And you know, keep it simple, stupid. Check the basics. Check for obvious vacuum leaks. We didn't find any. Check of the tune-up parts. It did need some love, so it needed a full tune-up. The charging system was okay. Grounds were good. Due to the mileage of the vehicle, I recommended a Snap-on Motorvac fuel injection service. Now, once again, I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and I've seen a lot of guys go after what we call drivability complaints like this, you know, fuel injection problems, and overlook the basics. So we do not do that here. We check the basics first. This is a cool machine here. It's a Snap-on Motorvac, and what it basically does is it hooks up to the vehicle. The red is the input, black is the return line to the fuel injection rail, and kind of hard to see on this cool one, but Nissan 3000, yeah. You've got some injectors, kind of hard. Oh yeah, right there, you can kind of see it. There's the harness right there, the 2 wires, the injector with the yellow circle right there. That goes right into the throttle body assembly. And what happens after, you know, so many miles, this thing that has 100,000 miles on it, is your injector, think of it like a can of spray paint. When you first get this can of spray paint, it's nice, atomized spray there. And then after a while, it gets all sloppy and clumpy and other things like that. That's what your injectors look like after a while, especially with the fuel that we have here in Oregon. So I highly recommend those be done, you know, every 30,000 miles. So, and this one showed some signs of that. So again, major tune-up, fuel injection service. That's what we recommended in the level 1 diagnostics. We continued, and I'm kind of an old school drivability guy. I've been doing this quite a while. So I have what we call a Snap-on MT2500 scanner. It's a red brick, and we did have one code 42, fuel temperature sensor, wiring issue or sensor. Note: after researching how the system works, this failure would not cause the rough idle. Keep looking. I've seen too many guys get lost going down that tree branch, and that's not the problem. Not to say that I'm not going to fix it. I will in more advanced diagnostics. But for now, I kept looking. So here's where we went and we did the tune-up and the fuel injection flush, you know, to make sure that that wasn't just, that could have been the issue causing this problem, but it was not. But like I said, I'm not going to overlook the basics until we go to advanced diagnostics. So here's where we went next. Another clue came up when I was troubleshooting it. And here it was. When we set the base idle adjustment, we noticed that it was turned way in and that the idle up cylinder was intermittently stick on. Okay, correction there. So here's what I'm talking about to kind of describe that more. Kind of hard to see, but you can see it. We've got this mechanism right here is like an air bypass to raise the idle. We've got the idle up solenoid here, more on that later, hint hint. And then also the fast idle control device, which is basically another solenoid. When your AC is on, it is energized, allows more air to go past the airflow and raise the idle. And this one, the idle up solenoid, I'll go to that later, but there's a real hint on that one. So basically when we did the FI service, we flushed out the throttle body plates inside this boot, and when we went to make the adjustment, it was turning way low, like somebody was trying to compensate for a problem. So that's another hint to this cool case study. Again, there's the distributor cap, spark plug wires. We put new spark plugs in there. Set timing. This one had a timing adjustment like some of the old school cars do. So, but here's the kicker. Even after doing all that maintenance work, it got a little bit better, but still not up to my standards, and still was a little rough on the hot restart. So we continue on. And this is where we go to what I call the step 2, level 2 advanced diagnostics. A lot of the basics have already been taken care of. So at this stage of the game, you know, we checked fuel pressure, and the fuel pressure was within factory specs at idle and under load. We hooked up the diagnostic machine for checking vacuum leaks, a smoke machine, no leaks found. Now that's pretty common on some of these older systems that still have a lot of vacuum lines on them. All these are vacuum lines. A couple solenoids here and there. And what we do is we hook up into these vacuum lines with our smoke machine. It puts about 5 pounds of pressure with smoke, and we smoke it. And we basically watch if there's smoke coming out from any ports, hoses, connections, things like that. There were no vacuum leaks present there, so we knew that was good. We also knew, this is kind of cool, I like to show you my toys. We also knew that the fuel pressure was good. Of course, this is not running, but we checked that as well. That hooks right up into the fuel rail. And then we went over to, now here's another thing too, you kind of research some things, check the EGR system, known for causing rough idle. We tested it and it was hanging up. We disassembled it and it was caked with carbon. So we cleaned it and retested, rough idle still present. Now what EGR stands for is exhaust gas recirculation. So just like kindergarten and show and tell, here is your exhaust gas recirculation valve. It basically takes exhaust gases from the exhaust manifold there, and believe it or not, through this valve, when it's energized by the computer hits grounds this solenoid. That allows intake manifold to go to the valve, which then sucks it up and allows exhaust gas to go back into the intake plenum. Now, why would they do that? On these older systems, it reduces NOx gases. So it basically reduces the temperature of the combustion chamber in the motor to reduce NOx gases or emissions. So that was emissions 101 there. But like I said, we cleaned that thing out, and even though it was hanging up a little bit with some carbon, that was not the issue. Another maintenance thing that needed to be taken care of. So where do we go down the troubleshooting chart here? So now this is where it gets really cool. Even though, and that's why I wanted to make this a case study, it's pretty cool. Even though the system is OBD1, Onboard Diagnostics 1, it has a very limited and complex self-diagnostic system that I was able to use a Snap-on MT2500 scanner and run it through all the phases. So I want to explain these in detail because I still want to keep this video fun. But you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 different levels of diagnostics that we went through. So let me show you a little bit more about that with the actual scanner. So at this point in time, I'm going to go ahead and start up the car. You know what? Let me back up. I'm going to be the real world mechanic here. And the other thing that I did right away was my motto, even though I've been doing this for so long, I still study up. This is on my time, not on the customer's time, but I went ahead and studied up on the system and found out exactly how it worked. I mean, I knew I had a pretty good idea, but I needed to be refreshed because I've not seen this in quite a while. So I call this the overview systems. How does it work? You know, Christy gives me, well, I love Christy. She's down here. She's letting me on a Sunday shoot this case video study to help out my fellow techs. So Christy, big shout out for you. I love you, helping me support me in my dream of having a drivability electrical shop. So this is what I studied at night after work. And it's basically, this is the basic system of how it works. All the different sensors. Now, I've highlighted some things that we've tested and could be culprits. Talk about this a little bit more at advanced diagnostics. But remember, when I went back to the basics of taking notes, note I checked the starting of the car cold, and there was no fast idle. More on this later. Well, when I was doing some system overlooking, this air regulator is what controls a fast idle cold. More on that guy in level 3 diagnostics. So let's stick back to level 2. Go back over here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start up the vehicle. Bear with me. Trying to keep this as simple as I can. One-man operation. So we will start up the vehicle without messing up my idle compensator. Hang tight here. Now I've got a fast idle for testing. This is my idle compensator here. I want to keep it at about 2,000. That is close enough. All right. Make sure my paper doesn't float away here. Okay, this is where it really gets cool. Here's that Snap-on MT2500 scanner I was talking about. Without that, I would have had to rely, this is a big plug for Snap-on, I love their tools. I would have had to, here's the basic computer by the way, goes in the kick panel here. And without this Snap-on MT2500, I would have had to deal with, come on baby, turning that switch back and forth and monitoring the two red and green lights. Can be done, but I'm kind of the guy that says, hey, get the right equipment and make the job easier. And the faster you are, the more you can save your customer money and be accurate. So let's go ahead and get into the system. Yes. Yes. Now let's talk about real quick. Oh, I need to turn my fan on too so I don't smoke myself out. Alright, fan's on. I see we're at 15 minutes, so I kind of want to speed up on this. Like, again, I want to keep these fun and basic. So, with that said, here, even though, like I said, this is onboard diagnostic 1, kind of a limited system, it's got some pretty cool self-diagnostic modes. So as you can see, there's mode 1, mode 2, mode 3, mode 4, and mode 5. Now, I'll go through a couple of these with you, and basically show you that the computer was doing a good job of controlling things, and the basics were good. So let's go over, let's see here. Yeah, let's go over the mixture ratio feedback control system. What that basically means is that the system, we're going to check it. Got my meter hooked up here to the O2 sensor, which is basically the sensor that goes in the ignitions and measures the amount of air-fuel ratio. I'll keep this explanation simple. So anything at 0.1 and below 5 is lean. Anything above 5 to 1.0 volts, or let's do it this way. 0.1 is lean, 0.9 is rich, and it's a signal that goes up and down, fluctuates back and forth. And as you can see, my handy dandy Fluke 88 automotive meter is telling us that that signal is fluctuating back and forth. It's a little slow, so the O2 sensor needs to be replaced, but nothing that would cause this rough idle. And here's where the kicker is. So let's go into this. Actually, let's check for codes. Code functions, yes. Auto code read, yes. Press yes, okay. Incoming codes. Now I've already fixed the problem, but I'm going to walk you through it anyway. We're getting a code 55, system okay. But when I first tested this, I got a code 42, fuel temperature sensor problem or wiring problem. Well, basically show you real quick what I did there. There's a sensor to show you. There's a sensor that hooks right up to that wiring, but it was broken. So what I did instead, let me come back to that when the motor's not running for you guys so you can hear me. So we'll come right back to that. This is the real world again. I'll show you that in a minute. But what I wanted you to see that is code 55 system okay. That's awesome. Now let's go into some function tests. There we go. This one's really cool. Air fuel exhaust monitor. Again, we're going to go back to that O2 sensor. Wow, this is hard. Test and request. What this is basically doing is the computer is monitoring the O2 sensor. Now I've got my Fluke hooked up here directly to the O2 sensor signal so I can see it. But let's say that I didn't have this. You can go right to your Snap-on scanner and say it's running rich, lean. Rich, lean. Rich, lean. That's what we call O2 cross count. It's going up and down. It's cycling back and forth. That's a good thing. If that was stuck rich or lean, we knew we had a fuel delivery problem or a control problem. Now let's go into air fuel check. Now what's cool about this too is we're at 2,000 RPM, and what we're measuring, this is really good testing here. The exhaust is rich to lean, and here's the computer compensating for it with the fuel injectors, controlling the on-off time, the pulse width of the injectors. So what you basically want to see, in layman's terms, I love to keep it simple, you want to see the exhaust, the actual reading, rich lean, and you want to see the compensation at about the same time. What that means is it's going rich and lean. The computer's saying, hey, it's rich, let's go lean. Rich, lean. And to make that simple, we know that the system is being compensated well. If the exhaust was rich and the compensation was saying lean, to make things simple, the system would be running too rich and the computer would not be able to compensate for it. So again, to make this simple, the actual reading is here, and here's the compensation. And they're the same, so the system is really looking good as far as being able to control air fuel mixture. I hope that made sense. Let's go to here. Real-time monitor. Now this is another cool thing that Nissan does. It's got a self-diagnostic system, but this real-time monitor makes it extremely sensitive to test really important inputs. So as you can see, the airflow circuit, that's the mass airflow sensor, is normal. The crank angle sensor, which tells the computer how fast it's turning via the distributor, signal's good. Ignition coil primary, the ignition is good. Fuel pump's good, so all that was good. Switch test. Okay to drive the car. This is going to test some of the inputs that are switches. It's doing its thing, it's thinking. Vehicle idle speed, that measures how fast the vehicle is going, so we know it's below. When I test drove it, this would go above. This reading would change to above when it was over 12 miles an hour, so I know my vehicle speed sensor is good. The ignition switch idle is high. Throttle changes only, so let me show you that. There it is high because the throttle is open. There it is low. I'll show you once again using my cool idle compensating device. Off idle, idle. Off idle, idle. So we know that's good. Okay, so that's cool and everything, but here's the problem. The idle up, rough idle problem was still there. So all that tests good. Let me turn this stuff off. Take the key out so we don't have to listen to that ding, ding, ding. So right about now, I'm like, hey, this is great, but all with this testing and troubleshooting, but it still has a problem. So here's where we have to go into level 3, advanced diagnostics. Turn my fan off. Close the door, and I'll show you what advanced diagnostics was, and this is where we really narrowed in on the problem and got it done. Another problem fixed. So advanced diagnostics, let's go back to that code 42, the fuel temperature sensor. Even though that was not causing the problem, and it's not known to, before we go to advanced level 3 diagnostics, we need to fix that issue. So here was code 42, fuel temperature sensor. What Nissan basically did, this is how kind of crazy complex cars have gotten, is, and this is what I was trying to tell you over a running motor, which we know that it's not going to work. So here's your fuel pressure regulator, and the wiring did go into here, but what you couldn't see was this connector here was broken. That's what happens with 27 years of use. So what we did to compensate for that right now is a good reading. This is where my 2 years at PCC with my electronics program pays off. This is basic electronics. So I hope that is turning out okay. Yeah, there we go. This sensor that was on there, a good reading is the resistance is between 0.3 to 330 kilo ohms. So what that basically is I was able to hook this up, my resistance box, and duplicate the readings, cold and warm, and hook it up to that signal wire. And as I did that, it did not fix the hot idle start problem, but regardless, I went ahead and for now went up to Radio Shack, and I was able to purchase a resistor that was 330 ohms to help input that correct signal for now. The fix will be to get a fuel pressure regulator sensor, but for now I wanted to fix that just to make sure that wasn't, you know, causing the problem, some weird feedback problem. So let's go into the things that I found out about. We're right on time, about 25 minutes. I wanted to make this about 30 minutes or so. So let's go into level 3 diagnostics. Think of this as like the brain surgery moment, the pinpoint testing. The pinpoint testing with a Fluke Idiot automotive meter. And we use a wiring diagram and actually individually test each component. Now here's another thing we ran into. The wiring diagrams on these are so old that they're photocopied. So believe it or not, I had to go at the computer and pinpoint test all of these sensors. Here's some of my notes and those types of things. Even though the system had self-diagnostics, it did not find the problem that I found. So to keep this short, I've tested all of these sensors and inputs and outputs, and I basically found these issues. There's an air regulator valve that was stuck closed, and the electrical connectors were green. Now what this air regulator does is it compensates for a fast idle when cold. So I've got one of these on order, and here is the air regulator. When it's cold, it allows air to bypass into the intake. It allows unmeasured gas or air to go into the intake, raises the idle. Then as it starts up, the computer sends it's got power to it and a ground, heats up this coil inside and closes off that valve. So this valve is completely stuck closed. That's why there's no fast idle. So this is going to fix the cold fast idle problem. Again, it was like a lot of cars, it was a multitude of problems to get this thing fixed. Man, look at all that wiring diagrams and papers and things. So we fixed that. Air regulator. I fixed the wiring at the fuel temperature sensor. Now here's where it gets interesting. Even though the throttle position sensor tested good the few times we tested it, luckily we kept this car long enough and I caught it glitching out. This connector that went right to this throttle positioning sensor measures the position of the throttle electrically. That connector was corroded, so we've cleaned that up. That's good to go now. And then here's where it gets interesting. The computer is intermittently commanding idle up solenoid randomly. Checked all inputs and they're okay. So basically there's an internal failure inside the computer that needs to be replaced. Now that's the bad news. The good news is I was able to compensate for that now by idling up the adjustment down, or by setting the bypass error correctly. And now I have a code 55, all systems passed. So in layman's terms, that idle up solenoid was intermittently sticking on, and somebody had turned the idle down too low for that. So we've compensated for that. We fixed the cold idle problem with the auxiliary valve. We fixed the fuel temperature sensor. We've done the tune-up with the fuel injection service. We've compensated for that defective computer right now. That's the only failure that it has. So it still runs fine regardless. And that is basically how we fixed this Nissan Z car that had a hot start problem after running. And here's the proof. The car has been sitting here for a little bit on a hot restart. So here's the proof in the pudding. After all those repairs, hopefully I left the key in there. I didn't. So I'm hoping it's in my pocket. This is kind of the real world. I've been going over this video in my mind, and it's turned out perfectly, of course. But in the real world, I don't have my keys. Or key, I should say. But that's okay, because I know where I put it. So once again, the main complaint was a rough idle after it had been sitting for a while. And this is why I love what I do and why I specialize in diagnostics. We got the fix for the customer. They'll be very happy. Try to put the key in there and hold the video. Here we go. The proof is in the pudding. Started right up. Idle's great. Okay, another victory. Racer Rob, Integrity Auto Care, over and out.